Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 10th episode of Power Hour presented by Intelligent Applications. I am your host, Fazil, and with me is my regular co host, Ryan.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
All right, guys. So today is the fifth installment of our business case, the dashboards series. The last part, which we are dealing with formatting reports and the overall visual design to create a more professional look and feel to our reports, right? Now, this is the report, the dashboard that we've been working with for the past few weeks. And what we want to do today is just kind of show you guys how we tend to lay out and use some of the Power BI formatting tools to help us create a more visually appealing and professional looking dashboard. Now, the first thing we want to do is kind of rearrange these things, maybe make some space at the top for a title of the dashboard. If you have a company logo, that sort of thing. So that's the first thing that we would look at, kind of rearranging some of these styles, right?
One of the key things you can notice is that when you sort of dragging the visuals across the canvas, Power BI would show you when it's aligned.
Yeah, so you see the
So it
red
help
line.
your placements.
Yeah. So the red line is what Ryan is indicating to you guys. It kind of help you align and size things to be at the same level. So really helpful.
Of course, if you choose to do so, you could always check in the visualizations pane and the middle section with the paint ruler, you can actually specify the X and Y coordinates if you choose to do so.
Yeah, I'll give you guys a little preview of that. So if we have our, let me just extend this a bit. Right, so we have our bar graph highlighted. If we go into the format option of this visual in the general tab, and we just expand that. So this is what Ryan is speaking about. You could set your X and Y position of the tile on the canvas, and you can also put a specific width and height for your visual, right? So that's if you want to be really specific. Yeah, and that does come into play, of course, as you get accustomed to doing dashboards and going for a more uniform and clean look. Right, so the first thing that we want to do is we kind of just want to adjust the sizing of these numbers. It doesn't look really too proportionate to our dashboard, and it's also causing our category label to kind of flip out of the visual. So we highlight our card, we go to format, we expand data label, and here we can adjust our text size. Right, now for this one, we just want to reduce the size of it. So let's go to 2 maybe. And most of the visuals, including this card that we are using, the format options, there are some fairly standard ones. So here we can adjust the text size, we can adjust the text font, whether we want to see decimal places or not. So if I put 2, I put 4, if I put 0, it goes back to just displaying the value in thousands. Right? If we wanted to see the entire number, we can click on display units and set it to none. So that gives us the exact number. If we wanted to see the value represented in millions, thousands, we can do that as well. So by default, we have it set to automatic. So Power BI will kind of figure out what is the best unit to represent this by, right? And we can adjust the font color. So we could go for a blue, give some character to our cards.
Hey, Fuzzle.
Yeah.
So you notice when you were skipping through the display units and you went to none, you had 39256. You had like six numbers.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Just show you
we
guys.
have a viewer in the chat who had asked about 1,000 commas.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right. I'll show you guys that one time. So, if we go to expand orders, that's where this card is pulling its data from, and we have the sales value, right? So if you click on that column of values, you'll see this menu at the top opens up, column tools, and what you want to do is simply click on the comma, so the 1,000 comma, and it will automatically separate your values. Right? See how it was done there? So really simple. Right? So Felix, thank you for the question, and hope this was helpful to you. If you have any more questions on these cards at the top, let us know, and we'll try to assist you. Right? All right, cool. So all right, so where was I? So right, on the category label, we could just set this to a more clearer black, so it's more pronounced. I think that looks okay. You can also do some crazy thing. Okay, so check this. And I think I showed you guys this before, we can do the format painter, which is a very useful tool when you're doing formatting in Power BI. So once you're working with similar type visuals, so for instance, all these cards at the top are the same visual type, which is a card visual. We could do format painter, and whatever formatting we have set on this first card, we can actually copy across to the other cards. All right. So we can just keep doing that.
Power BI always updates with some new feature that you always wanted.
Yeah,
That would save you so much time.
exactly, because I think maybe, I don't know, a few months ago I didn't have this feature. So really useful. Right, so we have some cards at the top. Let's talk about some other things we could do to kind of spice up this report, because I'm looking at this dashboard and all we're seeing is a sea of white and some numbers and graphs. So there's no distinct way to tell the visuals apart. So what I want to do is show you guys, if we click on the blank canvas, you will see a format option here where you can adjust the settings for the page or the page background, which we are interested in. So we could expand on page background, and we could just set it to something a bit, off from the regular white. So we get something like, and of course we need to reduce the transparency so we actually get that color coming through.
Hey, so when you have a minute,
Sure.
Felix has a follow-up question with respect to currency symbols, since we're dealing with sales.
Okay, so that's a great suggestion, and I will show you guys that now. Okay, so that's a great question. We're dealing with sales data and particularly sales value. and that is in some sort of currency. So rather than just representing our data as just pure numbers, it's a very useful thing to have the currency included so we know what type of values we're looking at. So Felix, really simple. Similarly to how we added the 1,000 commas, all you would do is for whatever values you want to see the currency. So we pull in from the value, click on that same column of values, and right next to the 1,000 commas we have the percentage, and here we have currency. So we just click on the currency icon, and it would enable the currency units on our values, right? And you can do this for each of your data value. So eventually we'll add it for the rest of values as well, right? So it will be uniform. Of course, all of them except for units sold, because units sold is just a integer number, right? So one thing I wanted to also point out, Felix, is that you notice it have a little arrow drop down here. So here's where you would actually select the currency symbol. I just went with the default US currency $sign. But if you click on the drop down, you could actually get the list of all the world currency symbols. So Power BI doesn't leave anybody out. It's standard, fairly standard and professional. Alright, so I hope that was a useful tip for you, Felix. So looking much better now than when we first started. Of course, I need to do a bit of work on the cards at the top. So first thing I want to do is kind of make sure the cards are all the same. So, looking at it, we might say these are looking the same, but we want to be sure. We know definitely that this card is not the same as the others. So let's see what we can do about that. So the first thing I want you guys to do is we can highlight all the cards. So this is another useful tip. Since we're dealing with visuals, so we're dealing with the card visual, you can select all the common visuals and you go to format, and under general, if you adjust the size, it adjusts the size of all the highlighted visuals. Alright, so here we see some width and some height. We want to just standardize it for all the cards. Viewers, I do apologize if you're getting some noise from my side. There is a bit of rain on my side, so apologize for that. Alright, and let me know if you can still hear me clearly.
Yeah, I could hear you loud and clear.
Alright, cool. Alright, so the width we're going with, let's see, what should we go?
Bit of rain is always appreciated.
Yeah, definitely. Unlike last week episode where we had a power cut during power hour, so apologies for that, viewers. We did end up finishing that video, and it's up on our YouTube for you guys to view. Right? So let's set a quick width here. Let's go with something like 225, and let's make them a bit slimmer. So let's go with 90. I think that looks good. We could move them down just a tiny bit to kind of make the spacing a bit more uniform. Alright, let me show you guys a trick here. Alright, so what we want to do is you want to make sure your first card is in line with the leftmost limit or margin of your dashboard. So we have all these visuals on the left side lining up with each other. We want to do the same thing on the right side with this card. So let's just, so it's in alignment. And we want to evenly space all these cards. There's a really cool trick. We just highlight all of them. Alright. then we go to the Format tab at the top, and you will see this tool here, Align. You just click on the drop down, and you have a lot of options here. The one we're interested in for now is distribute horizontally. So likewise, if you were stacking visuals in a vertical manner and you wanted them evenly spaced, you would select distribute vertically, right? So for our purposes, for the cards at the top in a horizontal manner, we want to distribute horizontally, and boom, it has automatically spaced our cards at the top, right? So
There was a point in time where I would pull out my calculator and
yeah,
calculate the X and Y positions for each card.
yes, I know. Yes, Ryan pull out his ruler and calculator and try to evenly space them. That's yeah. So Power BI makes it really simple for you guys, and let's proceed from here. All right. So what we have our bar graph, two donuts, our horizontal graphs. Okay, so let's just keep going from the top and work our way down. So usually what I like to do is insert some sort of border between the title of the dashboard and the rest of the actual dashboard. So there's a quick way. We go to the insert tab at the top, and we have a bunch of visual options here that Power BI provides, right? So we can add a button. That's a more advanced feature that we will show you guys in future videos. For today's purposes, we are interested in showing you guys how to insert a text box, a shape, and an image. Alright, so the first one we want to do is insert a shape. And there are some basic shapes that Power BI has included that we could import into our dashboard for some visual flair or just our general purpose. I do expect Power BI to maybe expand on these options later on. So we just have some basic shapes for now, right? The one we're interested in is a line. So we click on line, and you can see this vertical line has appeared. This is our shape. Format shape, this tab has opened up because we have our shape highlighted. And here you can do all sort of modifications to the shape you have added to your dashboard. What we're interested in is the rotation. So we want a horizontal line, so we just put in a rotation of 90 degrees. All right, and we just shrink this so we have our line. We place it in between at the top of our dashboard, and we just extend it all the way to the next end. Really simple, and we can adjust the color as well. So let's go with a dark blue. Note here, you can also adjust the weight of the line. So if you wanted a thick line or just a really slim border, you guys could do that. Right, so I like to leave it on the default 3 points in thickness, and that's fine for what we're doing today. Right, so we have our line. Alright, so the next step is adding an image. So we click on image, and here I have a little company logo. Let's just import that. Really easy. And you can see our intelligent applications company logo here. We just want to shrink it down a bit and put it on the upper left hand corner. Right, so we're beginning to look a lot more professional. Hope you guys are enjoying this video. Now, because F&R Electronics is a fictional company, we don't actually have a logo, so we're using our actual company logo where Ryan and I work. Right, so a bit of branding there as well. All right. So
Link to our website will be in the chat.
what's that?
The link to our website will be in the chat.
Excellent. Yeah, so you guys could take a look at that, see what else we do, what other services. Give us a call if you guys need some help. Okay, so the last thing we want to do at the top of this dashboard is include a dashboard title. Um, at the top, you guys can include different things. Sometimes we would have a card for showing you the last updated date and time of the data set when it was last refreshed. You can have other things such as symbols or buttons that could take you to um, websites, portals, other reports, that sort of thing, right? But again, as I said, those are more advanced topics that we will show you guys in the future. For now, we just want to add a simple text box and include a dashboard title. Right, so we have this blank white text box, and we also have a format option for this text box. The first thing I want to do is remove the white background. I want it to be kind of transparent, that PNG effect. So I take that off and I start to type. So for this, let's just go with a simple F1R electronics.
So we have another question from Felix. He mentions he used to use conditional formatting in Excel. So he wants to know what options we have in Power BI for that.
Okay, sure. Let me just finish this text box, Felix, and I'll show you how to do a better conditional formatting in Power BI. Alright. So just to finish off this text box, what we would do is select the text. We could adjust the font color, styling, alignment, and of course the most important here is the text size. Right, and you can always expand your text box size so your text wraps correctly, and we just pull this into place, right? And the white line at the top should help us, sorry, the red line should help us align this, right? So I think that looks about right. Alright, so F&R Electronics sales dashboard demo. Alright, now we're making some progress. Alright, so as we're, okay, so Felix, he asked about conditional formatting similar to Excel. Alright, so what I want to show you today, Felix, is let's look at this card here, the difference, right? So let's say we wanted a visual cue on whether or not for a particular month or selected period that we were ahead or behind of our sales target, right? Now that would be indicated by the value of the difference card. So if the difference was positive, meaning that we made more sales than our target, we could show a green card or change the text to green. And we could also do the opposite, where if we fail to meet our sales target, meaning that our difference value is negative, we could show a red card or a red text for the number, right? So let me show you guys that. Okay, so the first thing we would do is we can select our card here for difference, and I want to do one pre-move before we do the conditional formatting, which is select this measure for the difference, and I want to make this a currency. I want to show the currency on it because we're dealing with sales value, right? Right, so I've added that, and I also want to add the 1000 comma. Okay, so the 1000 comma is automatically there once I select currency. Okay, this is good. Alright, so just to show you a pre-example of how this would look is if we select, let's say we select March 2020. Right, here we could see the sales value is 81,000 and some change, and the sales target was 50,000, right? So we exceeded our sales target in a positive way for 31,000. And if we look at, let's look at July. Let's look at July. Right. Here we can see we made sales value of $27,676 and our target was 50,000, right? Meaning we're in a deficit or we didn't reach that target. So there's a difference of negative $22,324, right? So in this case, we see because we have the currency selected, it has put our negative value in parentheses, right? So let's do some conditional formatting on our difference value, and we will show you guys the result with the same test. All right. Good so far, Ryan.
Yeah, for sure. Chapter's well handled.
All right, nice. Okay, so we select our difference card visual and we go to background. Let's do background. Yeah, let's do background first. Right, so you would see next to background color, we have this fx function, right? So we can add a function to the background color, and that is all intents and purposes where you would do your conditional formatting. Right, so there are a few options. You could do field value if you have a calculated field for color. You could do color scale, which is what this is. So if you're doing like a gradient with three values, so some min, some middle value, and a maximum, this is what the color scale is. But what we're interested in today is some rules. All right. Let's do this. So, right, so value minus target, which is our difference. That is what we're interested in. Let me just make sure it's selected. Value minus target. All right, and here we have the option to add some constraints or rules. So the first rule that we want to do is if the value is greater than or equal to 0, or maybe we can just do greater than 0 and a number, and is less than or equal to, we could put some impossible number, I guess. And we want to show that this is positive, so custom color. So we could go with something kind of green. Of course, you could use your hex codes to get specific colors of green and red that you would use. I mean, that's how I would do it, but just for the purposes of time. If the value is 0, we can leave the background as white, I guess. And if the value is greater than, let's say, negative some big number and less than 0, we can do Right. Rand, what do you think about that logic? Is that okay?
Yeah, seems to make sense to me. No overlapping regions.
All right. Yeah, and Power BI, of course, if your rules had conflicts or didn't make sense, Power BI would try to show you an error and tell you, hey, fix something here. Okay. So they don't just leave you in the dark to just do it anyhow. And of course, you could switch the ordering or priority of the rules, so you could shift it up, that sort of thing. Really up to you and what you're trying to achieve. So let's go ahead and click OK on this and see what happens. Um, yeah, so click OK. Ah, boy, look at that. All right, so we have a positive difference here. So our card goes to green. We could show you this again if we click on March, where we exceeded our target. So we have a positive difference. It's still green, so we have a positive difference. And if we go to July, where we have a negative difference, so a deficit, we see it's red, right? So really useful. The whole point of visual analytics is to use stuff like this. So something catches your eye. Hey, why is that red? Are we not meeting our targets? What's happening? That's the whole purpose of what we're doing
Yeah,
here.
for sure. Couldn't say it any better.
Yeah, exactly. So now you might say they're looking a bit weird with the blue text on the red background. I want you guys to know that the conditional formatting is not limited to the background of the card only. You can also do it for the text, right? So let's say here we have the same rules. If value is greater than 0 and less than some huge number, we can keep this as, what did we have as blue. We can keep it blue because that doesn't look too bad. Right, we get the new rule. If it is 0, we can show regular, we can show it as black, I guess. And our third rule, which was greater than negative a big number and less than 0, we could do white text just for some clarity, I guess. Let's do that. Alright, so you wouldn't see any change here because I kept the positive rule to show the blue text for the number. We can test it if we go to July, where there's a negative. And here you can see we have our red background and white text. So really up to you how you want to visually format it based on your criterias. But yes, you can conditionally format the background as well as the text.
We have another question.
Sure.
Yajesh wants to know can the difference card be defaulted to a current month or a particular month?
Yes, definitely. Okay, so we can do that. In that case, I don't know if we have data for this, but what we would do is most likely just highlight the card that you're interested in tracking by month. Usually, if we're doing things with current time, I would probably have a dashboard for, a live dashboard where everything is relatively date filtered. So that's exactly what you would want to do, have a date filter. So here you would probably have pull in your dates, and you could probably pull in date key as a visual filter. And from here, you would just set a relative date filter. And for this card, you would just want to do in this month and apply the filter, right? Yeah, but I don't think I have data up to August on this data set, but essentially that is what you would do. Let me see. And the last yeah, so let me see how far back we can go in the last 3 months. Yes, so I think I have data up until July, but essentially this is what you would do. So if you say in this month, it's just going to be set to the current month, which is what you asked, and it would pull the data only for that current month. And if it's negative, you'll get your red card, and if it's positive, you'll get your green card. Visual cues into how you're performing if you are behind or ahead of your sales. Right, so awesome. Glad I was helpful to you, Yajish. All right, thanks for the question as well. We really appreciate it. All right, so I think we have most of what we're doing for time. Time is just running today. All right, so a couple of things that we want to leave you guys with for this chart here. Let's show you guys something cool. All right, so I want to go to the Format tab, and under Data Colors, I want to do a conditional formatting similar to what Felix was asking about, but this time we're doing the color scale, right? So we want to show bars in a gradient format where, lower the sales value, the lighter the color, higher the sales value, the higher the color, that sort of thing. Just want to show you guys quickly how to do that, right? So we're doing format by color scale, and the field we're based on this logic off of is our sales value, right? And we can set the upper and lower limits to whatever we want it to be, right? So you can have something like that. If you wanted to add some color in the middle, that's fine as well, and you could just click OK. Right, and you can see our graph has some sort of gradient where the more intense the color, the higher the value is, that sort of thing. So it really adds a nice touch to the bar graph visual, and we can take it even a step further and enhance the line, right? So again, we go to the format option, and under shapes, we will find the stroke width of the line, and we could reduce that. If it's a bit too thick, we can show the marker, right? So for each month, we see the line marker for those values. We could adjust the type of marker we want to see. You might have a personal preference. Really cool stuff. Right. A little bit more, so we can go for a bright color, really bright now. Right, the last thing, to make this graph a bit more profesh and functional, we can enable data labels. So that's done automatically by the click of a button here on the Format tab. Just click on the data labels switch, turn them on, and you can expand it to format, right? In this scenario, I would try to separate the values from the bar chart online so it's a bit clearer for the end user. For that, I would go into the customize series, enable that. This gives us the option to format the line graph labels separately from the column values. All right, so we're on the value target right now, and we could say let this be white, and the position could be inside center of the bars, and we can take off the background. Right, so here we can clearly see the bar values, and then I would just switch our series that we're formatting to target, and we can put these dark black so it's better contrast for reading, and we can take off the background, and that should be fine. There are a couple values here that we can't see too well, but that is fine. You're never going to get it 100% where all the values are showing quite well, right? What you can do is adjust the position to above or under the line graph, right? So yep, that's our bar graph. The last thing in terms of visual finesse is we could add a proper title. So we can say sales value versus target by month. Yeah. Right. Now we can format this. We can change the text size, the alignment of the title, font color. You know, if we're following some branding colors or something, you can do that. You can set a background on your visuals, so that kind of blends into the background, so we might not use that unless it's, you know, some different color.
As you're in Format Painter, we have a question on shadows and borders.
All right, nice. Okay, so the shadows and borders, I guess I could do that example on the cards themselves. So let's take one card for example. I could go into format and you'd see a host of options here. So the first one you asked about is the border. So we enable border. By default, it gives a really thin black hard border. What I mean is straight edges, no rounded corners. But you can change that. You can change the color of the border. I like something a bit more subtle and clean. And you can also add a rounded edge to the border, so it gives us a nice, you know, professional look at that. It's barely noticeable, but it makes so much of a difference. And the last thing, right underneath border, we enable shadow, and I'm going to leave it to the default shadow settings, maybe just lighten the color a bit. And look at that. Can you guys see the difference? It's the 3D effect is so cool. Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah, it adds depth to the dashboard.
Yeah, so Felix, this is really cool stuff. Let me know how you're gonna be using this, if this is helpful to you. Right? So really simple, and like I said earlier, we could use the Format Painter tool, and we can click all our visuals. Oops. I may have overwritten the formatting on my difference card, but that's fine. I showed you guys how to do the conditional formatting. So you guys should be able to do that for me on practice. All right. Cool, so we have some cards, background formatted, really cool stuff. For the purposes of time, I wouldn't go into showing you how to change the titles and labels on these graphs. It's all very similar. Each of these graphs have the same options, X and Y axis. You can change the font of the label, change the label, the color of the label, the title. In terms of data colors, the formatting is the same as the bar graph. So you guys could try and change the conditional formatting, the gradient for the vertical bar graph. Sorry, the horizontal bar graph by yourselves as a practical example. Really simple. Yeah, Ryan, how do you think we're doing so far? We should probably try to wrap up in a few minutes.
Yeah, we're approaching an hour.
Yeah, so like I said, these videos are just time just tends to fly so fast. You know, I want to show you guys so much. Yeah, so the last thing I think is this date slider. Now I've shown you guys before after one of our viewers had a question about using third-party visuals, and I showed you guys the app source website where there are hundreds of third-party Power BI visuals that you could download and use in your reports. I want to show you guys one of them today. So how you do that, you go to get more visuals, and I have downloaded it, right? So I go to import a visual from a file, and you'll see my visual here called timeline. I open that in Power BI, and Power BI tells me it has been imported successfully. I click OK, and you will see your visual popping up somewhere here, right? So at the end here, and I have my date selector highlighted. I click on the timeline. That could work for now. Yes, so that was most of the basic techniques that we wanted to show you guys this week. Hope you guys kind of practice this on your own in your own reports. Hope it makes it a bit easier. And the trick that I wanted to show you guys before we leave is all these changes that we've done here. You have two options for shortcut. If you're pressed on time, you could automatically select on the view tab. You have the themes here where you could select a theme that Power BI has and apply it to your report. You have the options to browse for themes or custom themes online. There's another option where you can customize this theme that you're currently working on. You can apply it, and Power BI should, okay, so we need to make some more changes, but Power BI would give you the option to save the theme, right? And once you save the theme, it saves it as a JSON file where you could import it back into Power BI and reuse that theme for your future reports. Basically, once you have done a formatting of a Power BI report once, and let's say you're doing it for a particular organization or company you work with, once you're doing reports and the branding remains the same, you can apply the same theme to all your reports and automatically color format all your visuals. So it makes your life really simple. All you have to do is make sure the arrangement is neat and everything works well. Two main things: choosing the right visual. We will do a follow-up session on that with you guys. And the second main thing is the flow of the dashboard. So the dashboard must tell a story, it must have a logical flow. You can't just have things here, there, and everywhere, right? Really important. Any closing or remarks from you, Ryan? Anyone from the chat has any more questions?
Yeah, no more questions. But as you mentioned, the flow or the dashboard and the story, that is something that's beyond important because every dashboard must be clear in its objective and what it's trying to tell the end user about the data. So you always need to have that high-level picture in your mind when you develop these dashboards.
Okay. Alright, so just want to show you guys this dashboard that we have built at Intelligent Applications for demo purposes. Just to show you what you could achieve with some time in formatting your reports. Here we have the AdventureWorks dataset from Microsoft that we did a Power BI demo with. So this is what your sales dashboard could look like, so we have visual formatting on that sales month to date card. And you can see here if we're below our target or whatever KPI that we're basing our logic off of, we can see a red card or green or specific gradient on how we're performing in that particular month, right? Again, all these you can filter. So you can see sales by specific product, and we also have a map here so you can see where those sales are taking place, right? So really high level, I wanted to show you guys what you can do, how your reports could look a bit more professional and attractive. So yeah, here we have a similar product analysis to what we did in our demo for the Power Hour, and how you could format here best selling products, worst selling products, that sort of thing. All right. So thank you guys for joining us for Power Hour this week. Hope it was informative. Hope you guys like this video. Share it with your friends, family, colleagues, anyone who is interested in Power BI, data visualization, or just data and reporting in general.